The Bleeding Edge Cantina on Nexus Station was a place where the galaxy's desperation gathered to drink itself into oblivion. The air here was always thick, a suffocating cocktail of proprietary atmospheric mixtures designed to keep a dozen different species breathing while they slowly poisoned themselves. Bioluminescent fungi clung to the walls, casting a sickly green pallor over the patrons. Tentacled Nexari, chittering Chedini, and gaseous ethereals floating in containment suits near the ceiling. It's a scene replayed across history, from the dusty saloons of the American West to the neon-drenched spaceports of the future. A hive of scum where the noise level hovers between a roar and a riot. And morality is checked at the door. At the center of this chaotic orbit stood Krex Bloodclaw. The Vorak mercenary was a 3-meter tower of crimson scales and muscle, his eyes glowing with the predatory arrogance of a creature that had never met its match. He held court over a captive audience, recounting his latest kill. A human female he mocked as the ghost of Terminus Vi. "Ghosts don't bleed," Krex sneered, his voice a subsonic rumble. He described hunting her down, finding her crying in the ruins, begging for her life. She promised me information. I told her I had all I needed. His laughter was thunderous, a sound that demanded submission. The crowd, a mix of sycophants and terrified traitors, offered the expected applause. It is the universal currency of the bully, fear masquerading as respect. Then, the pneumatic doors hissed open. The figure that entered was almost invisible against the backdrop of monsters. She was a human woman, perhaps 1.7 meters tall, with brown hair pulled back in a severe ponytail, and clothes that screamed generic civilian. She moved through the crush like water around stones, efficient, quiet, unnoticed. She took a stool at the far end of the bar. "Terran whiskey," she told Zeph, the multi-tentacled bartender. "Whatever hasn't been cut with antifreeze." Zeph warned her of the danger, but Vera Martinez just nodded, accepting the glass. But in a room like this, anonymity is a fragile shield. Krex's enhanced hearing picked up the order. A Terran, a Deathworlder, a prize. "Well, well," Krex boomed, silence rippling outward from him like a shockwave. "A genuine Terran. Tell me, little human, have you heard the tales of Krex Bloodclaw?" Vera turned, her expression one of mild, detached interest, as if she were watching a mediocre street performer. "Can't say that I have." The dismissal hit the Vorak harder than a fist. His scales darkened. He began to list his kills, soldiers, colonists, pirates, painting a graphic picture of their fear. He was trying to evoke terror, to reclaim the spotlight. But Vera just sipped her whiskey, unmoved. When he finished his crescendo of violence, she set her glass down with a deliberate clink. "That's quite a collection," she said, her voice conversational yet cutting through the silence. "I'm curious, though. Did any of them walk away?" The question hung in the air, heavy and dangerous. The ambient hum of the station seemed to vanish. Krex snarled, his pride wounded. "My record is perfect. I have never failed a hunt." Vera nodded thoughtfully. "So, these hunts. They involve isolated individuals? People cut off from support? Refugees, maybe?" Krex faltered. "I hunt where targets are found." "Of course," Vera continued, her tone surgical. "Maximum profit, minimum risk. Why fight a soldier when you can execute a farmer? It's smart business, really." The atmosphere shifted instantly. The predator was being dissected. Vera turned fully to face him, her green eyes cold. She deconstructed his entire existence. The research, the tracking of exhausted prey, the thrill of killing those who couldn't fight back. "The scary part isn't that you kill them," she said softly. "It's that you've convinced yourself it makes you a warrior." Krex roared, a desperate attempt to regain control. "I am Krex Bloodclaw. I have killed more of your kind than you can imagine." "There is a difference between a hunter and an executioner," Vera replied, swirling her drink. "A hunter faces prey that can fight back. Which one are you, Krex?" The Vorak froze. He had no answer. "I'm Vera Martinez," she said, addressing the room. "Formerly Gunnery Sergeant Martinez, Colonial Marine Corps. 12 years active duty. Survival instructor on Titan." The revelation hit the room like a physical blow. Patrons recoiled. Murphy, a freight captain in the corner, gripped his drink. They were in the presence of a true apex predator. "The thing about hunting Deathworlders," Vera said, her voice taking on a terrifying educational cadence, "is that we hunt back. Real engagement isn't about cornering a crying girl. It's about me tracking you for 3 days, using tactics your species hasn't even invented yet." She gestured with her glass. "From here, I see 43 items I could weaponize. The environmental controls, the gravity generators, this glass." She leaned in, the mask of the civilian completely gone, replaced by the lethal focus of a veteran soldier. "When you ask if any of your targets walked away, you're really asking if you've ever faced anyone dangerous. We both know the answer." Krex was shaking now, his legendary composure shattered by the simple weight of truth. He was a fraud, and he knew it. Vera finished her drink, placed a credit chip on the bar, and stood up. "Keep the change, Z." She walked to the door, pausing only once to look back at the broken giant. "You know the real difference between a hunter and prey?" she asked. "Prey runs. Hunters don't have to." She stepped out into the corridor, the door hissing shut behind her, leaving the cantina in a silence that was absolute. Krex remained seated, staring at the table, destroyed not by a weapon, but by a reality check he would never recover from. He had finally met a human who hunted back.